That's
Not-
what I figured.
Oh, we're on.
Okay, welcome to the Capital Outlay Committee, and today is October the 8th, and we are reviewing the requests to the new Capital Outlay Plan. And Carol, do you want to sit up here, please? This way you can...
She's probably going, do I have to do that?
Great.
That's my agenda. Oh, I'm sorry.
Nope, you're good.
Do you want to pass anything out, or is there anything?
I'll need you.
Ah, thank you.
What's the date on that one, Carol?
The 3rd. It's last week's.
Okay, I got that.
The one that he sent you. The one that he sent everyone this, on Monday,
The one I got is
yesterday.
dated
I like one,
October
I
3rd.
couldn't print it.
Okay, this is a revised revision of the 3rd,
Okay, I need,
okay?
okay, I need. Thank you.
We just have to do some administrative tasks before we start the meeting, ladies. Okay, we're all good? Okay. So welcome, and we normally have department head presentations, but we're going to start with our library. Okay? And Ginny, would you like to come up and introduce yourself and the head of your commission?
Good afternoon, I'm Ginny Hewitt, the director at Brooks Free Library, and this is Mary Ward, she's the chair of our Board of Trustees. So we're here about our project to reconfigure the interior space of the library, but before we start on that, I just want to say thank you to this committee for your support for the generator. It was installed in April, we were able to put it to good use during the tornado or after the tornado. This year, we would have been closed for 3 days, so we were able to open early and still provide service. The library was packed each day, and people really appreciated that we were there. It would have been a very different experience for a lot of people if we weren't able to be open, and that generator wouldn't have happened without this committee, and seriously, once you threw your weight behind it, and in fact you moved it up on the capital plan, then the town officials and the residents knew it was a real need and not a want. And that was critical. And so with the generator, we were able to do exactly what we said we would do and be open after a disaster and still provide services. And I'm so grateful for that.
Oh, you're welcome.
And the other thing is, I also appreciate your support for the additional funding on the exterior preservation project. Your support on that was critical, too, you advocated for that to CPC, and that was very important, not just that it was on the capital plan, you approved it, but I know you came to the meetings and spoke out for it, and if we had had to wait another year for that, we would have had scaffolding all around that building when the tornado hit, and our columns probably would have ended up at the golf course. So, so I hate to think about what would have happened if that, if things had been different. So thank you very much for both of those.
And speaking for the trustees, I thank you as well. It's just, we're so pleased with how the building turned out, with the renovation, the historic renovation on it. It's just, we hope you're all pleased, because we think it looks beautiful, and
I
job
think it
well
looks
done.
beautiful. I
Do
think
you?
you did a great
Good.
job. Very authentic to what it was before.
Yep.
Did you harbor people from the tornado, or just people?
Not a shelter, no. Oh, yeah, sure, we were open when it happened, and we had people.
So you sheltered people?
Sure we did, yep. We had a lot of children. Unlike the rec, which had a summer camp going on, the children at the library were there with family members. So, but our youth librarian, we had everyone go in the basement, and our youth librarian immediately started organizing games. We had power because we had the generator. We made popcorn for the kids, we passed out water, and like for the kids it was an everyday event, not like another fun program with Ann, and they didn't realize anything was going on. So it was great. It was perfect, yeah.
Good.
It worked very well.
Yep. So, all right, so the reason we're here. So we've had this project on the capital plan since 2016. We had for fiscal '21 for an assessment and developing the plans, which we're moving back to fiscal year '22, so that it'll be closer in time to the work itself, which is on the capital plan for $150,000 for fiscal '24. So we've already had moved it back a few times since it's been on there, and we're aware of the financial strain on the town with wastewater and other large capital plans, and that's one of the reasons we've slowed it down, is precisely because we don't want this turning into a major renovation project, which, you know, initial discussions with different consultants was leading to. I know that's what happened in Brewster. They wanted to do a few things, and now they have a huge renovation in the works, and not looking for that. This is to provide a couple basic needs. One is for more office space, and I'm going to talk about that more in a minute, but the building just wasn't designed for, I think they were happy with what they got, you know, because they had nothing before. So the small amount was good, but it's just woefully inadequate. But the other thing that we need is a small group meeting space. We have one large meeting room, and libraries today don't have that. They have multiple small meeting room space, like a place for tutors to meet with students, or like a committee from the local civic group might meet, or you know, to work on plans for an event, or a couple adult education students getting together for a study group. So this is not like regular meetings of ongoing civic groups or clubs, those monthly meetings and those kind of things. That's the community center kind of thing. This is more informal, people that are never going to pay for something, but it's a huge need. Most libraries today have that. When Eastham Library opened in 2016, they've got a couple meeting rooms, larger meeting rooms, and then they also have a number of smaller meeting room spaces. And Dennis Public, which opened in 2000.
Ginny,
which-
can I just interrupt?
Yep.
We're timed here,
Okay.
okay? So
Okay.
you have 10 minutes.
Okay, I do.
To go.
Okay, I thought she said we had 20.
You started, it's 10 after 4.
Oh, am I? Okay. All right. Okay, so we're not looking to expand.
If you want to get to the point.
Sure,
we
we're
don't
not
need
looking to
examples.
expand the footprint.
Okay.
What I wanted you to see, because we've been here a few times about this, is what I'm talking about when I talk, some of it is we need public space reconfigured for all the changing needs, you know, since the renovation. But in doing that, we also really need some more administrative office space, and I'll just pass this out. This is just something I took from it's a floor plan from a carpeting project, with the least detailed plan I could find. And so in yellow is, actually, I'm sorry, I'm gonna pass it.
Here.
There's multiple copies, it's just one page. So you could see, we have 934 square feet approximately for office and all the behind-the-scenes work at the library, and we should have 1,700 square feet. I don't know that we'll get to that, but that's something that needs to be looked at as close as we can get to it. Right now, I'm on the first floor. The admin assistant is on the second floor, and the assistant director, and that's just not good for communication or efficiency. We're not even in the same space, and a lot gets lost. We have to make a real effort not to, and it's just not good. The assistant director, well, everyone in the second floor, which is the bottom diagram in yellow, that's one open room, and our assistant director is there. She has a lot of personal, like private conversations she supervises the most staff, whether it's about performance or about troubling behavior of patrons, incidents that have happened, and things which she should be able to have a private conversation or meeting. And so I could go on into that some more, but you can see that we just don't really have the space. One of the things, one of the options, what we'll be looking at in the planning is, if you see on the first floor here in the yellow, right in front of that, the red X is where the circulation stations are. If the circulation desk was moved somewhere more out, we might be able to capture some of that space and make it administrative space. So that's the kind of thing that we're looking at doing. We have 27 staff members. We have 7 full-time and 20 part-time. We have a full-time equivalent of 11. So obviously, we have a number of people working small hours, so this isn't about trying to provide office space for everybody. This is about 9 desk or office or shared workstations and to co-locate the administrative staff.
Jenny, let us start asking some questions.
Okay,
Okay?
yep,
Go ahead. We don't want to shut you off later.
sure,
that's why.
okay.
So Jenny, the only question I had was the amount of the $150,000 for construction seems small for what you're doing, and also in comparison to the engineering amount. I know they don't have to have a relationship, but, you know, often when you see a $40,000 architectural design, the cost of the project might be much higher than that. You feel $150,000 is all you really need for this?
I don't think we really know till we have the plans done. I've been trying to find that out, like, and find smaller renovations, and that's where it gets hard, because it always tends to grow. And we don't want it to grow, so we receive state aid to libraries every year, and half goes to the 2 association libraries, and Brooks Library gets half. So right now, we have $62,000 in there that we're hoping we can supplement. I mean, unless some major other thing comes up, but the trustees have taken a vote to target this for that. So, you know, unless some other major need came up in the meantime where they had to use some of that. But we get about $7,000 or $8,000 a year, so we're hoping that will supplement it too. And that's the purpose of saving that. We used to not be able to save state aid until Dave Ryan was here as town accountant, and it was, the town was not doing it correctly. We were not allowed to carry it over before. So now we spent $33,000 in 2013 on a chiller so that we could take the energy efficiency project of $150,000 that needed a local contribution. So since then, we've been saving that money, and that's why we have $62,000 there. So I don't know. It's hard to. It's hard to say.
Let me just interrupt here, so that we don't vote on anything less than $50,000. So the 40,000, I mean, it could be any number, and the 150 could be any number because it's out. I guess one of the charges would be for the committee or, you know, the trust to research it, and for next year's plan, it becomes a little more real. That's the word. And I'm assuming that we have employees in town that can assist you in pricing it out, and no cost for you. Basically, they could tell you, you know, we have guys that could do it by themselves, and, you know, or what's the reasonable rate that you would be paying per hour? Yeah, Pete?
Rich, an engineer or an architect would do it on a square foot basis. So you just multiply the square foot by whatever, and you'd have a ballpark number.
Dollars per square foot.
Sir?
I have a question. I didn't quite understand the reason you needed the small rooms. Because what you kept on saying is people met there for all sorts of different things. What was the connection to the library?
It's a pretty basic service of libraries today. There's a big need in the community for that. Huge need, and
The reason I ask is this room, the room downstairs, is open quite often. The rooms in the cultural center can be all open. We have a community center that has open rooms.
those.
So I want to know what the connection is. Are they using the books? Are they using your talents?
So those would be for a fee.
Right.
So this is not organizations meeting that are going to pay $50 for a room. This is, you know, the garden club subcommittee wants to meet, or that might not be a good example because they pay for the community center and then they can use a room. But there are plenty of groups that aren't. You know, lots of it's not formal meetings, it's more informal space. And what happens if they don't have that space, then it's disturbing to other patrons. That's the problem. You know, you have someone tutoring, our spaces are all wide open right now. Someone's tutoring, and everyone that's using that space can hear that that child just isn't getting it. It's just not, you know.
I
It's not
understand where you're
good.
coming from. Okay,
Yeah.
one second. This doesn't address that at all.
No, that's, I just wanted to show you the office space.
Okay, so-
We do have some spaces where we it's kind of hard to show you, but there's a little alcove right here on just the opposite, the circulation area. There's a little alcove over here that we may be able to put up a plexiglass wall and make a little tutoring space without
Okay.
a whole lot of cost. So that's, we don't want to make those kind of changes till we know what else we're doing for reorganizing the floor space.
It's not going to be, I'm sorry.
No.
It's not going to be approved, okay, unless we see what's the final product. I
Sure.
mean, what are you trying to fund? The 150, which is being put out, you know, according to this, you're going to spend $190,000 for something that is going to start in, 4 years, 5 years from now. So I think you have enough time
Yeah,
to
Right.
get you, go ahead, I interrupted.
No, this is just, this was just meant to inform for our professional staff how tight it is for people to work.
Well, you
as
have an old building.
professionals. Yeah, and we have an old building.
Yeah, and-
And so it's kind of a two-part process. We're doing a self-assessment
Right.
about what are people's jobs, responsibilities, and what kind of footprint do they need to work efficiently. We're looking at options for quiet spaces to fill community needs. Not a lot of them, but at least a couple of them to provide those spaces. And the other thing is we are in the process of building our strategic 5-year plan, where that has a lot to do with further assessment of community need and what services we provide, what programs we provide, some of which right now weren't even thought about 20 years ago. And all of them take space, and they take technology, and they need supervision and so forth. So it's a real reconfiguration of the entire space without increasing the imprint. So we need to do, we need staff input, we need an engineer's input, we need professional input, and out of that will come a plan
Yeah.
and a cost. And we want to push it closer to where we actually need the money to do the work, so it's more realistic. So we're not saying, okay, this year they're telling us it's going to be $130,000, and we get closer to 2024, and now it's $180,000. So we're trying to be as efficient and targeted as we can be.
Historically, and you started the meeting off, and we'll support you in any way we can. I think everybody here would agree that it's a community building, okay? It's far beyond going to get a book. People spend days there, full-time. We'll support it. The basic information we have now is purely basic. You're at literally the ground level. And my point is, if you're going to spend $150,000, why not spend $200,000 and clean it out and do the whole thing over again? In other words, not rebuild, but redistribute the work areas, the bookshelves or whatever your main, just redesign what you have, and then you'll be closer to utopia, if that's the question. Like a new building, except the exterior. I mean, you could change the footprint. I mean, if you're going to spend 150, make 175. It helps you redistribute the workforce. If it helps you redistribute the floor plan. So I would suggest that, not limit yourself, that there could be another step that's really needed to get to where you really want to be. Yes?
Madam Chairperson, just a quick question. Has your board ever looked at, and I understand the organizational structure currently, ever looked at merging the 2 branch libraries into the main library?
No.
they're not branch libraries, just
Yeah,
so
they're
you
not
know.
branches. They're not on the CLAMS network. They're
Independent.
They're independent association libraries
Yeah,
that serve a wonderful purpose and have a great historic significance, but the expense of pulling 3 libraries together would really be quite something we'd have to figure that, it's never. I'll let
I
Jenny
don't
really-
think they would
I've been here
agree to
long
that
enough.
either, yeah.
Okay, we're not,
Yeah, they don't want to be municipal libraries.
That's-
Yeah,
They're not
I don't
totally,
think it's a bad
why don't
idea.
we
I'll
do-
argue with you another day.
totally separate entities.
why don't we do this? In terms of your request, we understand, okay? Our suggestion, or my suggestion is that before town meeting, this is not going to affect town meeting. as an article, okay? We sort of have a downtime in the spring, prior to town meeting, late, March, April kind of thing. We'd be glad to have you come in and let's talk about it.
Okay,
Fair?
sure.
I just don't want to, I don't want to spend a lot of time discussing the possibilities when in fact it doesn't affect what we're doing today in terms of the request. Yes, sir.
Just one question. When you get to town meeting, you're gonna need to explain to the people who'll be voting what those rooms are gonna be used for. And if you're taking things from other places, they're very concerned about money these days, so just be careful with what you pick to use it for. If you used it to teach children in, and you had, tutors or whatnot, there'd be no problem whatsoever. If you took people out of the community center who were paying the community center,
No.
there'd be a problem. So I'm just saying, just be careful.
No, I think what I'm interpreting, you may have a group that can afford to pay the $50 for the room, and you're taking it and giving it pro bono, you're just giving it away.
Sure, we're not doing that,
And
yeah.
what Angela's saying, that every dollar counts for the town.
Sure.
When we have actually revenue-producing facilities,
Yep.
that should be taking that revenue.
Yeah, but they have things that can be, those rooms should be used for.
Yeah.
That
Sure.
We're at the library.
So, and the
just so you know-
anticipation of a question would be, it's not going to come out as an article, but if somebody looks at the plan and sees the 40 and 150, somebody might question that, that's all.
Just so you know, we only have one outside group that uses the meeting room now, and it is on Wednesday nights, and they cannot be accommodated at the community center. So it isn't a matter of, we're taking business away.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking
Yeah.
about
You're talking about the small reading rooms, the small
Sure.
reading rooms?
No, these would be like, for 2 to 4 people.
Okay.
It's not a...
Right, we certainly
Who
would
knows?
provide the appropriate justification.
Yeah, why don't you try, not try, please get on our schedule,
Sure.
and we'll,
I
Chris,
haven't-
the town administrator will let you know. I mean,
I-
before town meeting, we sort of have a lull, so we can discuss it further. We just don't have time today.
I haven't approached the town engineer yet,
Okay.
as I know he's had such a backlog, but that is something I would be looking.
Okay.
For his
It's not
help
the
or something.
electrical issue, so we're
Yeah.
good. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Or
much.
do you have anything else?
No, I just was, when you talk about the $40,000, which is what we were asking for, to get the appropriate assessment of what the plan should be and what the cost,
Yeah,
so that we can use that to cost out the
But that-
project.
that's next year.
That's next year.
That has
So that's
nothing
not
to do with
something
this town meeting.
Right, that's correct.
That's why I'm saying, we can discuss it further, you can do a little more homework, or get the homework done for you, and in the spring,
A year from now. is-
no,
No,
this coming
he's just saying
spring,
it's a downtime for them.
we have a
Oh, I see.
See them
downtime,
in
Okay.
and
advance,
we'd
yeah.
be glad to
Help
give
us
you an
along the
hour,
way.
and a half. Take up
Okay.
the whole meeting, and we can discuss it. Just today, we're just doing requests.
Okay,
Okay, is that
Thank you very
fair?
much.
thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
For 50,000, you can have a
Eric,
Yeah,
you got 7 minutes.
I only need 4.
Oh, no. Now, Eric's dad is from my hometown.
Yep.
We hear that every year.
That's
Yeah.
right. And you're going to hear it until his father and I are not here. How's that?
I'm retiring next year.
Oh, congratulations. You need a job? Here you go.
How you doing?
Introduce yourself.
I'm Eric Beebe, I'm the Recreation Director. Good news is we're not asking for any more paving of beach parking lots.
Okay.
We finally finished that. So, the 2 that I was on the agenda to speak about were FY21 requests, and they're both also CPC requests this year. The first one is for new fencing at Brooks Park Baseball Field, as well as Senior Memorial Softball Field. The request is for $106,400. That covers all parts, installation, everything. The current fences, we got opinions from the highway department as well as several fence companies that they are falling apart. So it's time to replace, just to keep up. We've done CPC as well as capital projects for fencing in the past, including Potter's Field. We did White House Field as well. So that's that one. Do you want to take questions on each, or do you want me to just?
Just go through the whole.
Okay. And then the second one is the White House Field Lighting Project, which is a mere $455,000 and change. This is for the replacement of the whole lighting system at White House Field. It's currently an older system. This replaces everything. It keeps the same poles, but it replaces all the fixtures with LED lighting. So it's going to save about 75% in electric costs per year. We're also spending between $10,000 and $20,000 per year right now to replace bulbs and ballasts that keep failing in the system. This would allow us to charge people less for light use, which would encourage more people to book the field, which could in turn mean more revenue for us.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
What are you spending, where you're going to save 75% of what? Of 200,000 or 300,000?
I don't have the number in front of me, but for lighting every year, I'd say, I mean, we get it recouped from the people that book it. They pay per hour. But
But if you didn't in other words,
yeah,
what's the straight out cost?
I'd say at least $20,000 a season.
So you got 20,000, is that two 20,000s? Replacement of bulbs and stuff, you said is 20.
Oh, yeah. Yep,
So
absolutely.
there's another 20,000.
Yep,
Okay. So that's $40,000 a year,
yeah,
right? So this thing would be paid off in 11 years.
roughly, yep.
There's an 11-year payback. And what's the revenue coming in?
The revenue right now for the field, it's not 40,000. I'd say it's maybe between the Harwich Mariners, the high school team, and private bookings are the main users of it. I'd say maybe 10,000.
10,000 a
Yeah.
year?
Yep.
So you don't cover your costs at all?
No.
Okay. Any questions?
You're looking for a grant to help pay for this?
We looked into Cape Light Compact. Unfortunately, the lights aren't on enough of the day to qualify for that. We are confident that this number is going to come down by the time we get to town meeting next year. The Harwich Mariners are looking into sources to contribute, as well as alumni, the Yorkie grants through them.
Yeah.
So we think it's going to come down significantly. So we're starting high and chipping away.
When are you going to CPC?
We just submitted the article October 1st, so we're waiting to hear. It's usually January, I believe.
Did you make a presentation to them?
Not yet.
So you submitted?
We submitted.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they don't reject you until, no, I'm really
Yeah,
serious.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
whether you're rejected or accepted, you
Yep.
still get a chance to talk.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Will you let us know when that happens?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Okay?
Yep.
And we'll go in and support.
Back it up, yeah.
Yeah, and if you can get us better, not off the cuff, maybe Carol can,
And White House it's one of those things that we may not have the direct revenue, but having the Harwich Mariners in town, they've done a lot of projects for us there. We do some projects there. We try to help each other out, and they bring people to town and to the hotels, restaurants. et
yeah,
cetera.
yeah,
You know,
it's still a,
big.
it's still a revenue producer for the town. It's not a direct revenue producer for the town government, but it's a revenue producer for the town of Harwich.
Overall,
Part
yeah.
of it, yeah. And maybe before you let us know, or when you're going, or send us the presentation, suggestion is that, to offset what the payoff would be,
Mm-hmm.
perhaps identify either through the chamber, through treasury, or whatever, the finance department, what are the revenue numbers for us, for the town?
Yeah. Yep.
Revenue numbers for the chamber, what it brings. And it sort of helps the offset
Yep.
to a lump sum, or a,
Yep.
you know,
Makes
the
sense.
465, 55, could down to maybe 350, you don't
Yeah,
know.
yep.
Okay. But we'll help you. This is one of the things that we all discussed, and it was presented to the board last night, was that we'll assist if we see requests that we couldn't fill but are fillable,
Yep,
but we see other sources of funding.
Sure.
Like CPC.
Yep.
Okay, and since you're working with them, if you need our support, just like you heard the library, about the generator.
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
basically the same idea.
Yep, okay.
So those are going in. I've got here in 22 a TBD for Sand Pond, right, revitalization? No, yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, the bulkhead, Red River Beach bulkhead, it should say.
Sand
Oh, San
Pond.
Juan.
Sand Pond, we actually have a CPC article in this year for Phase 2 of what is the Sand Pond revitalization.
You know, any dollars?
What's that? 83.5. I don't know why it's not in there.
Yeah, we have a TBD.
Um,
Is it this year or next year?
It's this year. It's in CPC this year.
Wow.
We submitted for 83.5. That includes, so Phase 1 to us was the new restroom facility that was funded at last year's town meeting. This one's going to include a very small playground area, the demolition and removal of the current boathouse, also some new fencing along, just kind of dressing it up a little bit. We really want to make Sand Pond, we want to revitalize it, as it says. We see a lot of
Have that
potential.
change on yours?
The change I have it in 22.
Right, and he's saying you have TBD?
Yeah, that's not correct. Yeah, it should be,
That TBD is Xed off,
And move it.
and 83.5, 80, yeah,
I didn't know if the town administrator just didn't want to double it up this year,
That's possible.
but we
well,
do have it in CPC this year, though.
this year,
Yep,
yes.
Eric,
yes.
how many phases are there gonna be on Sand Pond?
We think 3. Yeah, the third phase will include some beach renourishment, as well as like a shed, because once we have everything kind of worked out there, we could bring back some staff. We could have lifeguards, we could charge for parking, because it's such a big parking lot, and that'll recoup the money and pay for itself, basically. We could have kayak rentals, things like that, and have a shed.
You check this one, Chris?
Yes, I
It
will.
needs help.
We're
Yeah.
gonna
Yep.
check, and we'll know next week, okay? Right now, and I'm sure Chris put this together.
Yeah,
Okay,
yep.
now whether he thinks that should go elsewhere.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know what his thoughts are. So we're just gonna pencil it in or pen it in for 83.5, and we're questioning that number versus the TBD, which is in 22. And Chris's comment last week is he's trying to avoid TBDs.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we'll get an answer to that. Yes, sir.
Just a quick question. Do I understand at San Juan, you're gonna tear down the body and you're gonna tear down that old
Boathouse.
The
boathouse that's
boathouse,
up on the left-hand
Yep.
front
yes.
and build what?
We're going to take the boathouse down, we're going to put a swing set, a couple small playground materials, and then like a picnic area. Very simple, picnic tables, nothing too crazy. Just to attract the families back. It's gotten a bad stigma over the past couple of years, or
That's down
longer.
past Fontaine, right?
It's,
No.
no, it's on
Great Western Road.
Great Western,
Main
yeah.
Street West.
Which is the one on past Fontaine?
Oh, you're thinking about
Long
the Cone
Pond.
Hollow Beach.
Cahoon Hollow,
Ah,
yeah. That one's developed, and that was one that we worked on as well, that we moved lifeguards from Sand Pond to Cahoon.
Okay, and you had the brick, the facilities
Yeah,
were on the right side.
Yep, yep.
The bus, we went there by bus.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So,
Anything else? Okay, so bottom line, we're depending on CPC to fund this thing.
sure,
Okay. And we will take a vote on how we feel about it. We'll wait on the Sand Pond
okay,
issue to find out what was, if this is a mistake or whatever, but we'll
Yep.
find out.
okay.
Okay?
Sounds good.
Thank you, buddy.
All right, thank you.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Is there any possibility of using some of the fees for the baseball tickets against this? Or is that not possible?
Well, yeah, I mean, the Mariners are working toward, you mean the lighting project? Yeah, they're working towards any possible funding they could possibly come up with, because they don't want to move their games earlier. And the way it's been going, we have more and more lights failing.
Can we do a $1 ticket or something like that?
I'm sure, yeah. I mean, there's that, there's the Yorkie grants, there's alumni that they're tapping into, some of the pros, to try to get some money towards this.
I think that would be helpful for
Sure.
people in town to vote for it.
Yeah, oh,
I don't
absolutely, yeah.
mean all of it, I mean
A part, yeah.
whatever, you know.
Well, that's what I told him, as much as we can get this number down, the better, you know.
So they're chasing kids like that went into the majors?
Yeah, yep,
I got it.
yep.
Like Porcello gave Seton Hall $1 million and built the Brandon Stadium.
Jackie Bradley gave Hyannis, the Hyannis Mets there, $500,000
Yeah.
last year, yeah. So, yep.
Thank you, Eric.
Yeah, thank you.
Keep us posted
Will do.
about the CPC meeting, and if you think it's appropriate for us to go
Absolutely.
in and support.
Sounds good, thank you.
buddy. Tell your dad I said hi,
Okay.
or Belleville.
Here comes cemetery.
Sure. You're dead last. Ha, ha.
That one, shouldn't golf be after me?
Very bad joke, Mr. Chairman.
So I have
Introduce yourself,
oh,
please.
Robin Kelly, Cemetery Administrator. I have 3 items on the capital plan. The first one is a CPC article for Pine Grove Cemetery. I don't know if you guys know a lot about Pine Grove. It's in West Harwich. Actually, you guys don't get these packets, do you?
No,
Actually, no, they get sent out in the mail.
they're like
Electronically.
133 pages.
There's
Yeah,
31
okay.
But we're good, we believe
So
it.
anyways, I'll show you a picture, a little.
Gotcha.
Little-
Oh, I
little
remember that one.
Okay, so anyway, so it has 23 monuments that are in need of repair due to either fractures or damaged or they've completely fallen on the ground. They have 116 monuments that either need foundation repair or to be reset, monuments that are actually leaning or in need of treatment or reset, or they're going to topple over, to prevent further damage to these stones. 8 large memorials are in need of cleaning and consolidating with stone strengthener. Once they're cleaned and you consolidate them, you'll be able to read them and it'll preserve them for a lot longer. And then, so in total, there's 147 memorials that will need to be cleaned and consolidated in the end. Okay?
Is that the 75,000?
So it's 75,000 and we're going for CPC funds. So, you know, there's a lot of historic monuments in here, Caleb Chase's monuments in here. There's actually one of the monuments that's in here that is this little teeny lamb. The exact same one is in Mount Auburn, and they have it encased underneath glass. This is a very rare monument. I think people don't realize it, and it really needs to be conserved so that we can save it. Usually what happens is the little ears will start to wither from acid rain, and then the noses will go from acid rain. So you really want to make sure you put stuff on it to conserve it so it lasts as long as humanly possible.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm just curious, 2 seconds of background. So if somebody buys a stone and they have perpetual care, and
Yes.
then over time it deteriorates,
Yes.
that's not kept up through perpetual care? Is this money in addition to that? Are these ancient stones? that we
So,
don't know what they
so
are?
most of these, all of these monuments are of historic significance, so they're well over 100 years old. So there's none of the monuments in here that are going to be conserved that are new monuments. So somebody didn't buy these like 50 years ago or 20 years ago. These are actual historic monuments that these families are probably long gone, or it would be their great-grandchildren that would have to fix them. We do have money in perpetual care for certain things that get fixed or in the cemeteries for maintenance, but this would be, I mean, this would drain us down. We'd have no money.
One second.
Yeah, I met the woman that was cleaning the stones at one of the cemeteries,
Yeah, Cheryl
and
Caputo.
with a toothbrush.
She's amazing.
And when you go there,
Yeah.
you can see the difference.
Oh, it's
The
amazing.
stones are pure white. She got all the mold and all the moss off the stones.
Right.
Real special. And she takes hours cleaning each stone.
So she got the CPC when we did for Mount Pleasant, and it was 50 stones. I think it was $39,000. Literally, she's almost been there for, since last year. Cleaning these stones, she's meticulous. This has a lot more stones in it that need repair. But she also, at the end of the projects, gives us a report that has a picture of what the stone looked like before. She writes everything that was done to the stone to conserve it, and a picture of it after it's done. And she is going to meet with some of the members of the CPC from this last one. It'll be finished in November, so she can give them a tour and show them all of the work that has been done, and that, that she has fulfilled her contract.
Well, there's no, if you drive into Mount Pleasant, you can see those stones. You can see the ones that she's done.
I know.
And they are spectacular.
They are. They really are.
And she works off a list that you give her.
Correct. So
Tell her which stones to
So,
do.
yeah, so when we make the article for the CPC, I actually include with it a map of so this is the map of Pine Grove. So I highlight each lot, and then in each lot, it actually lists the stone that she has to repair. So it lists the who's on the stone, what stones, and then what is to be done on each stone.
Okay.
So it's very detailed so they don't fix the wrong stones.
Okay, so that's the 75,000.
That is correct.
What's the 100?
This,
Next one.
Oh, so then there's two other ones.
Right.
So one is for the master plan for the Arboretum project. I'm actually working with the grant from the county commission. They're helping me get a grant for that, so it's $43,000. Some of the grants that we are applying for, the deadlines are in December, and some of them have a little bit of matching funds, so we might have to tap into some of my revolving account money for that.
Okay, so our numbers show,
$43,000, and then $100,000 is for actual infrastructure improvements, which is another grant I'm writing.
well, that,
So there's two grants.
Wait.
Okay, go ahead.
one second. I show a grant for $100,000, and I show a cemetery revolving fund payment for 43. Is that correct? Or is it reversed?
No, okay. So I'm actually writing 5 grants right now. One of the grants is for the implementation of the master plan.
How much is that?
We put in just a placeholder for $100,000. The grant writers are actually probably think that's going to be a little bit larger because they think they can get us significantly more money. And then the other one, the master plan, which is $43,000, I'm writing a grant with the Barnstable County again. And some of the grants that I am applying for need us to either in kind do grant matching with services that we can provide, or I'll have to take some of the money out of the cemetery revolving account.
Well, it's under 50 anyway. So what happens if you don't get the grant?
Then we probably would either have to look into doing the cemetery revolving account for the funds. So I have $100,000 in there to spend a year.
And you'd use it all on one thing?
No, I'm probably going to get one of these grants.
Okay. I'm at a,
If I don't get the grant, then we probably will have to come back the following year to town meeting, probably but
So this is all
yes,
grants.
correct.
yes.
The public won't see the backup sheets, Robin, but
Yeah.
the descriptions are identical on both the 100 and on the 43.
No, there should be no description on the 100. It's
Well,
all,
there is.
it should be, so the master plan that I have on, it's asking for creation of a parking area.
That's fine.
Okay,
But I'm just talking about the ones that were in the system. But at any rate, what
Okay.
I'm knowing is that I would just suggest, since the descriptions on the capital plan itself, which people will see,
okay,
if you could somehow put in a little more detail or separate them, it's going to be confusing to the
Okay.
public. And there's been some confusion with cemetery things
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the past. So So I'm just
As you
saying,
know.
any clarity there,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay. I'm going to ask a stupid question, but in terms of what we're trying to do here, what's the definition of an arboretum?
Arboretum. So we're actually, right now, I just have a new AmeriCorps person who works for me 1 day a week, which is on Wednesdays. The Arboretum project is the study of trees in the environment. We have over 40-something species of trees in Island Pond. To become an arboretum, that's all you need is the trees. We want to make sure that the trees are preserved as well as the monuments in the cemetery, and that people actually go and visit these trees. And we are doing, for instance, with the Monomoy Regional School District, we are doing with the elementary school students, they're going to do a scavenger hunt to find different leaves. So we'll say, find a red oak tree, or find a maple tree, or find, what is a pitch pine versus, a different pine. So they'll be looking for different leaves and different things in the cemetery. It's actually going to be a learning place for people to go in and learn about the environment and the cemetery, as well as the conservation land, which is to the left of it. So the Arboretum itself is really an educational, environmental area.
So physically, you have a department that runs cemeteries,
Correct.
and then we have a department that runs,
I'm working with Amy Uzelsky on this, so Amy is
Exactly where I
she's peer and partnered with me in the Arboretum project.
and which department has a better chance to win a grant?
We are writing the grant together.
Okay.
So they want you to actually partner with somebody when you write these grants. So there's actually 6 people that are writing this grant with me. So there's other people that are involved.
6 people from Harwich? the
Not
town
just from
of-
Howard, so other people that work for the county are helping me with this
Okay.
too. Russ Norton, he is, actually, he works for the Cape Cod Cooperative Extension, and he's a horticulturist, so he's done a lot of soil, he already did all sorts of soil samples for the
Okay.
entire
So
Arboretum
it's,
project.
okay. But the shoulders are on you.
Yes,
Well, if you're looking for funding,
correct.
it's a cemetery department, well, I understand, but if the funding is for for the nature,
It's for, yeah,
okay, I'll take that up with Chris. I mean,
okay.
there's a reason why it's under you and not under conservation.
It's in the cemetery.
It's in the cemetery.
Okay. I don't buy that, but that's okay. Yes?
If indeed these are going to be grants, that should be noted carefully, because I think that may make a big difference to people.
Right.
And the other.
Well, the issue is if they don't do a grant, are they still going to do it?
She said that.
No, she said.
No, I said, we'll have to come back the following year, yeah,
So this pop is for grants.
yeah.
If there is no grant, then it doesn't happen.
We'll have to come back.
Okay.
The other part of it is, last night, I believe, somebody at the selectmen's meeting brought up about $30,000 that they think is owed to the town by the cemetery. Is that $43,000?
The gazebo,
The gazebo,
Yeah,
is it 4?
the $4,000, yeah.
4,000?
Yep,
Okay. I had in my head 40,000. I thought this would just key off to people in town if it was 43, so I back off. It doesn't matter.
Okay. Yes, sir.
You're completely out of that gazebo project, right?
well, they moved the gazebo from the pet burial ground over to the Evergreen Cemetery.
And then you'll be out of there completely?
Well, I'm out of there now. I've been out of there.
No, what they're saying is that property doesn't belong to you.
It belongs to the board, we transferred it to the Board of Selectmen.
That's what Joe said.
That's what I was trying to find out.
Okay,
Okay. No, the only reason why we do have requesters come in who say, I'm shooting for a grant,
yeah,
and then they have alternatives, that if I don't get the grant, then I'm going to do this.
okay.
And there's enough time before town meeting that we change it, and under the pending source, it's conditional by saying, if you don't do this. And when we take a vote, our vote is, we only will vote for something if there's a grant.
Okay.
If there's no grant, what is the negative? We can't vote no,
Don't accept it.
but there's a term,
Condition.
whatever. What's
We don't like it.
You just don't.
indefinite,
Indefinitely postponed?
indefinitely postponed. That's a no. That's
Been there.
Oh, I've been there.
Thank you. You got any more questions? No. Thanks, good luck.
Oh, okay.
Keep us
Last one to let
posted.
you down, Mr. Chairman.
Keep us,
Thank you.
Yeah, you
Waiting
guys,
to see you.
pardon me?
He's waiting to see you.
I'm in
You're dying to
Brewster.
get in there.
I'm in Brewster, sorry. Okay, so we've done everything. Let's attempt to take a vote. And I'd like to start with the library. We had 6 last week, and all our votes were positive. Yes?
There's no amount for this year, so do we have to vote for the library?
Yes. We voted like last week, where it was 0, and we're in favor of the 0. So we covered it. That's what we did last week. Yeah. So the library, we're just voting that it's not going to be, I make a motion that the dollar value for fiscal year '21 is 0. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so it's 6. You got that, Charlene?
I'm getting there.
Take your time. And then we had recreation. The only vote that we have to worry about here is, if I'm not mistaken, the motion would be, we could do all 3 at one time, is that...
Do you want to wait for clarification on the sand pond one, though, before you vote?
No, because my motion would be that these requests are only, we would only vote in terms of them being funded by CPC, that we would not fund them.
Condition.
Yeah, they're conditional,
All CPC.
yes.
Motion to approve rec
Second.
and youth, all CPC articles.
For FY '21?
Can I just ask a question? Is
Sure.
it either CPC or grants?
Yeah, we can say that.
Yeah, because if
He
they-
said they gave, if they got grants,
If they're looking for grants, they'd reduce the CPC.
or, yeah. Wrong place. You know?
There's a noise committee meeting down in the library.
What? I'm sorry, yeah.
So motion to approve all requests to be funded through
CPC or
CPC.
grant, or grants.
CPC or grants,
All those in favor?
made by
Bruce.
Bruce.
Mr. Bean.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so that's 6-0, 6-0, and 6-0. And finally, cemetery.
Again, those are all grants, right?
Yes, but I think I'm a little confused on the master plan being funded by, we don't have to vote, it's under 50,000 anyway. The reason why I questioned the cemetery was that at least I'm showing that the master plan is going to be funded by the revolving fund. And that's not a grant.
I think she said if they didn't get the money, they would use a revolving fund.
That's what she said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
If they didn't get the grant, she said she'd use revolving funds.
So grant should be on there instead of cemetery revolving, because the grant would be one, revolving would be two, if they
Well,
don't get the grant.
I want to leave that one open for now, okay? We'll check with Chris, because normally we wouldn't have to vote on it anyway.
Like,
We voted on something that would be zero, because that doesn't affect our numbers. But again, it's under 50, and we don't have to vote for it. What, the 100 and the 75, one is CPC, and one would be a grant, so.
I'll move to approve the Pine Grove Cemetery gravestone conservation at 75,000.
Wait a minute, hold on, hold on. Excuse me, we're having a meeting.
Excuse me,
Excuse
you're
me.
downstairs?
You're downstairs in one of the rooms. Look for it to say open. Pine Grove Cemetery gravestone conservation.
At 75,000, assuming it receives CPC funds.
And we wouldn't be coming to us. Okay. All those in favor? Yeah, I'm sorry.
Just a question.
Sure.
She said that if it didn't do CPC, she'd be going for grants for all.
On here it says CPC, unless that changes before.
So I have motion to approve Pine Grove Cemetery gravestone conservation to be funded through CPC funds.
That's what she said.
And that's what it says here.
Maybe
No,
not.
there's nothing there.
Oh, she also said that they're going for grants on all of this.
Grants rather than CPC?
No, they did CPC and they're also going for grants.
Not for Pine Grove.
Not for Pine Grove, that's CPC.
It was CPC on the original list.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, it got dropped off by accident. Who seconded that motion, please? Thank you, Bruce.
Yeah. It was on last week's version of this, and it got dropped off. Okay, so that's that one, and
Is there a
no,
vote?
yes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Okay.
And the next one is a grant, and that's for the master plan implementation.
Mr. Chairman, she said those were the infrastructure improvements that were associated with that second project, which is the master plan.
These are confusing.
Very
The
good.
master plan is the plan that's going to be developed. The next, which should follow it, is the implementation of the plan, correct?
Correct. That's
So this is backwards
right, that's correct.
in terms of implementation. So
Correct.
you do the master plan, then you do the implementation
Yes.
of the master plan. So, but it's under a grant, so do I hear a motion? And it's for the $100,000.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Is it unanimous?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a grant, right?
And that was
Go.
McFarland and Angelo.
Okay, so the only one that we
As a grant.
have to keep open is the 48, not that we have to vote on it, but I think we need a better definition of the funding source.
That's the 43,000.
Yeah, is it coming from the revolving fund, or is it
A grant.
shoot for a grant, if you don't get it, then it's the revolving fund?
That's what I think it is.
It may be, but it's not, it has to be put on here correctly. And it could be a side note. Okay, so we need this one. Okay. So,
And then I'm just going to say the COC held the vote on the master plan.
right, waiting for a better definition of funding source. So that we have a better understanding of what's happening, we have covered cemetery, we have covered conservation, we have covered fire, we have covered harbor master, we have covered library, we have covered police, we have covered Rec and Youth. And that's it for now. So, do you have that sheet you wanted to show me that you had highlighted in yellow? That's the one. Thank you. Okay.
Sorry.
Ah, no problem. You know what I said?
Nope.
Oh, okay. I didn't say anything. A reminder that next week, this is going to be a revised agenda which will be posted.
And I'll send it out.
Yeah, and it's a change from the posting on the 7th. So we now had to move golf in. So next week, okay, we need anybody not going to be here on the 15th.
What time is it?
3.
3 o'clock.
Well,
I'm close.
You-
I'll make it.
here's the point. You'll make it. Call in.
I got your phone number.
You got my phone number. it's right
And you will be in the large room.
Oh, I can definitely
Hey.
want to come sit there.
there. They got your old chair. We'll have the water department. We'll have facilities and maintenance. We'll have public works. We'll have engineering. We'll have golf. We'll have wastewater. You want to say that again?
We should just allow one group in at a time.
And administration. So, now I don't know if the wastewater is going, if that is going to also include Dennis. You're downstairs. The room says open. Will wastewater count Dennis Yarmouth
It
us?
has to, because he put in money for this year.
It's in here.
It's in there.
Okay, I have just a question.
It's in there.
Okay. The difficulty for next week is keeping these requesters within 20 minutes.
Can I say something?
Surely.
We were having a discussion before, and I just want to say something about wastewater. Because, I mean, there's still, public meetings to have and everything else. If people aren't able to vote positively on October 15th, they certainly may be positive by May, but what I'm saying is not all the work has been done for wastewater, so you can't expect a totally 100% positive result on October 15th.
And as I've said, the plan that we put together and submit will have our vote, we'll have our vote with the information that we have, and, you weren't there last night, but you watched, we all agreed that it's a dynamic document, and it's subject to change.
Yeah. My point, I guess, was, it doesn't have to be, we have short times next week. It doesn't have to be beaten to death. We only have the information. that
I
we have.
think the 6 of us, except for you, I think the 5 of us don't have enough information or knowledge to beat anything to death, okay? It's really just information gathering and trying to make a good decision with the information that we have. And the plan may have changes prior to town meeting, which also means our voting will change. We have done this a couple of times, so.
On that note, when do we vote on the plan as a whole, not
We
the
don't.
FY21 portion? Because you mentioned last week, Rich, that was carefully outlined in the warrant. So I went back and looked at the warrant, and what the warrant says is that, of course, those are the finance committee votes, but it says that it's the plan that's being approved, not FY21, not FY whatever.
Okay.
Just something to think about for the
That's-
future.
But we don't, we vote for the 2000, we don't vote for the entire plan.
Right, in the warrant it says the plan, so that must be finance committee only. The
No,
votes for the plan,
No.
that's what the warrant says.
When we see the out numbers, we're looking, we vote on the 21 number, okay? We discuss the other numbers. The submission of the plan is our vote on 21,
Okay.
okay? And everything's subject to change, and we've done it a number of times.
Could we not vote on the wastewater? Because I don't have enough information.
Well,
It's not on your agenda right now, so you really need to be cautious. You can have that discussion next week on whether you want to vote for it or
Well,
not.
which-
well, it's on the agenda, discussion of changes of the agenda.
What-
Well,
So,
no, that's not changing. That was on the original agenda. I'm just saying it's not on your agenda
can't
tonight.
answer you.
Well, what prompts my concern is,
You don't have to vote on
a question that was brought out last night about the Dennis Yarmouth Harwich thing, and that just got voted. There's no numbers available.
I think we'll have a better idea, and that's why I said subject to change, when the three committees get, or the two committees get with the Board of Selectmen and discuss numbers and what the numbers mean, correct? The 29th. So the 29th, we'll have a better discussion. And that's what I was trying to discuss, that I was trying to tell Selectman
Don,
Howell, that we can't put a number, we don't, and everybody was agreeing, we don't invent the number. We don't come up with the number.
Right.
When they're saying, well, somebody's got to come up with a number. I couldn't agree with you more. But it's just like, where are we going to pick up, who's going to pick up the $8 million? That, the boo-boo of $8 million? We just can't put it in because we heard it.
right, right.
Okay, so I don't have an answer. And it's a good question to ask next week. Yes,
Ask you a quick question.
sure.
The ones that you're gonna do on October 15th, water, facilities, DPW, and what else?
Engineering, golf, wastewater, and administration.
Engineering, golf,
Wastewater.
waste,
Community center.
and what's the last?
There's nothing from the community center.
What's the last one?
Administration.
Administration.
Thank you. Thank you.
Question.
I might, let me see. Yeah,
Uh,
oh, wait,
You said we only vote on one thing for 2021. What happens if somebody wants to change from one year to another? There's already there, or if somebody wants to add something in for next year, 2 years from now.
well, we voted on each request.
Okay, so then we have to vote that
Yeah.
also, so it's not only.
So nobody's changing numbers.
Well, that's, so far, so good.
What?
Yeah, a lot of them changed numbers from last May. I haven't tracked them all, but there's been easily 30 changes.
I don't have an answer for that. If that has to do with the new article, that's where Chris
Yeah, that's.
had said he was gonna, that's why I'm still carrying, where did I left it? Here it is. I'm still carrying all the articles to try to get the interpretation of what the changes. And I said this at the beginning and when we started voting, is those changes that were accepted would have been nice to be run through this committee prior to being voted on at town meeting. So the committee that it really affects had no input or understanding of what was voted upon at town meeting. And if we had some input or a presentation, it would help answer the questions today.
So what we're gonna need is last year's, what was approved,
Mhm.
and this year's, what we end up with next week or 2 weeks from now.
The request.
And the request, and somebody's gotta go through and circle things that have moved.
Right, I think Chris said he was gonna do that.
What has to happen is he has to take last year's and add this to it and see what the significant changes are. I mean, that's the only way to do it. It's very complicated. It's really, I don't know how you go through with, 17 different requesters over a 7-year plan and say if one number has changed from 1,000 to 1,002, is that Is that one of the changes that you have to agree? You know, I don't have an answer for that. Doesn't make sense, but,
But that's what we got.
yeah. Anything else? Yes?
On the budget timeline, it says that October 21st is a joint EOS meeting with us and FinCom, and I didn't know if that was. That's when, let's see, Capital Outlay submits the 7-year plan to the TA. I don't think that's a presentation, but then on the line afterwards, it says joint meeting with MRSD, Cape Cod Tech, Finance Committee, Capital Outlay to discuss, and it's got a whole list of things about schools and other stuff. So I'm just trying to find out if that's a joint meeting for us.
21st of October?
Yeah.
Did you have any idea?
I don't, I'm sorry.
We're going on the 29th, don't we?
That's a budget.
Okay, that's true.
If COC's not listed, I would assume no. But, I don't know.
Is it a Monday?
Yeah, it's a Monday. It says Capital Outlay.
Oh, they are listed, then you're supposed to be there.
She said the selectmen's meeting.
That's the 21st?
Well, put it on your calendar,
I did.
the 21st.
Yeah.
Okay. Our agenda says Thursday, October 10th is our next meeting, but that's not true, right?
The agenda was posted before you canceled it. So I have to cancel it.
So 10/21 is a joint, and you guys, if you can't make it, don't worry about it, okay? Joint meeting,
I only pointed out in case the meeting started and people look around and, you know, just so people would be aware.
If I remember correctly, we weren't even invited to the table last year.
Right.
this one?
Yeah, for that meeting last year, everybody else was invited up to the table except the CPC.
COC.
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 Yep.
And the schools, that are the schools.
Jesus.
Let me just say, you know, the bottom line is that we are actually town administrators committee, okay? So, in fact, if he's there, he could, we've given him the plan by that time. So, with him being there, we literally are represented. But if you can make it,
It generally does get posted. There's generally no meeting minutes associated with it because I don't think there's ever been a quorum of the committee,
what committee?
this committee, at that meeting, the joint one.
Yeah, I mean, if nobody shows, it's fine. I mean, there's not going to be changes to the plan. It's a discussion on, you know, major impacts of increase in budget for the schools, increase in budget for wastewater, increase in budget for the tech school, increase in budget for all departments, and the Board of Selectmen saying we want to keep it stable. So that's the general. But it's the 20, so we have, so you guys have on your calendar, we have the 15th
Starting at 3.
at 3. We have the 29th, which is Ms. Capola's budget training meeting. That will have us, FinCom, and the Board of Selectmen.
What time is
6
that?
PM?
Yes, 6 PM. Location to be determined.
What day is the 29th? Tuesday? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And that's the 29th, but in between that is the 21st. So,
Okay. 1,
and I say
2,
we won't meet again. We might meet once before Christmas or November to look at the plan in general to make sure we're comfortable with it as we go off and do what we do during the holidays. Fair enough? And then If there's nothing else, if Chris calls me on an ad hoc issue, like I think we did last year, we got together, I think, in March,
We did.
early. We got everybody back from Florida for one meeting. Okay? Do I hear a motion? Bruce? All those in favor?
Aye.
You can hit the switch. Thank you, or somebody.
See you at 6:30.
Okay, I'll make sure Chris gets all the notes.
Guys
Thanks.
roll right in.